Good afternoon and welcome to the Texas Credit Enhancement Program webinar. My name is Matt Berry and I'm with the Texas Public Finance Authority. TPFA is a state agency whose primary mission is to provide cost-effective financing for facilities and equipment. TPFA primarily serves other state agencies and universities. However, through our Charter School Finance Corporation, we provide facilities support for Texas charter school districts as well. CSFC performs a few core functions on behalf of the charter school community. First, it's a conduit issuer for charter school bonds, providing charter districts with access to low-cost, tax-exempt facilities financing. It also administers the Texas Credit Enhancement Program, which is why we're here today. We're going to spend a little time talking about the TSEP program's background and its benefits to the charter school community. We're also going to go over some of the key program parameters and eligibility requirements. Then finally, I'll walk through some sections of the TSEP application and how the award process works. If you still have questions after viewing this webinar, please feel free to reach out to me or any of the other program contacts. We'll be happy to get you the answers you need. Contact information will be provided at the end of this webinar. Back in the year 2000, the U.S. Department of Education proposed a new program aimed at helping charter schools secure access to facilities financing. The resulting Credit Enhancement for Charter School Facilities program was designed as a competitive grant and received its first appropriation in the year 2001. The program provides grants to eligible entities, private and public, empowering those entities to provide credit enhancement for charter schools. There is a great deal of flexibility in how awardees use the funding, but the ultimate goal is to give charter schools more robust and affordable access to private sector and other non-federal capital. The grant is exclusive to facilities-related projects, including acquisition, construction, and renovation. In 2005, a Texas consortium was formed to include the Texas Public Finance Authority's Charter School Finance Corporation, the Texas Education Agency, and the Texas Charter School Association. The consortium applied for and received a $10 million award to establish the Texas Credit Enhancement Program, or TSEP. The grant proceeds provided the corpus of the fund that has since been used to enhance the credit quality of facilities bonds issued on behalf of open enrollment charter districts. The Charter School Finance Corporation, supported by TPFA staff, continues to perform all ongoing administration functions of the program. Grant funds were deposited and continue to be held in a reserve account outside the state treasury. In addition to the grant funds, the account also includes a $100,000 matching contribution from TEA and all interest earnings that have accrued to the fund since its original creation. As of the initial broadcast of this webinar, the available fund balance was roughly $12.3 million, of which around $1.7 million is available for enhancements on new bond issues. Account funds are never loaned out or otherwise dispersed directly to charters. The reserve account is used solely for security for repayment of debt should a debt service default occur. As a conduit issuer exclusively for the benefit of Texas charter school districts, the Charter School Finance Corporation provides a broad access to tax-exempt funding for the charter school community. TSEP enhancements, however, are available to charter districts that choose to issue bonds through other issuers as well. TSEP administration is performed completely independently of the CSFC's activities as an issuer, and the actual conduit issuer selected by the applicant is not among the TSEP award decision criteria. TSEP provides a partial credit guarantee that is allocated to a charter holder, and the amount of the enhancement is typically based upon the debt service reserve fund for an existing or expected bond issue. The required size of these funds can vary, but underwriters typically size them as the lesser of the maximum annual debt service, 125% of average annual debt service, or 10% of the par amount of the bonds issued. In certain circumstances, the CSFC board may elect to award a credit enhancement in the amount less than a district's requested amount. Credit enhancement awarded under TSEP runs through the final maturity date of the bonds for which the credit enhancement was awarded. In the event that the credit enhancement bonds are refunded, the credit enhancement expires on the date that the defeasance or redemption takes effect. A TSEP credit enhancement award does not automatically carry over to refunding bonds. However, there is no prohibition on reapplying for the enhancement as part of the refunding structure. The Credit Enhancement Program provides several benefits. By improving the leverage position of a charter district, a much greater degree of flexibility is introduced to the district's long-term facilities plan. Robust facilities investment supports healthy enrollment growth. Just like any business, average capital investment should at least keep up with average depreciation of those assets. The inclusion of credit enhancement improves the risk profile of a district bond issue. This reduces or eliminates the requirement for burdensome reserve requirements and other restrictive covenants. The elimination of existing reserve results in an immediate release of restricted cash and instant improvements in the district's liquidity position and general financial profile. And for pending bond issues, the availability of credit enhancement can dramatically improve a district's negotiating position with lenders and underwriters over financing terms. Now, before we dive into the application process, there are a few basic eligibility requirements that we should talk about. Currently, the program is only available for bonds. Other obligations such as loans or leases cannot be considered for credit enhancement awards. Bonds receiving credit enhancement through the program must be for the acquisition, construction, or renovation of charter school facilities, including refinancing of existing facility debt. The obligor must meet the federal definition of a charter school and be currently designated as accredited by the Texas Education Agency. Furthermore, schools must have earned an academic accountability rating of A, B, C, or D, or in the alternative, either a MET standard or a MET alternative standard at the district level and for each campus for the 2 most recent years, as reported by the TEA. From a financial perspective, the school must have received a satisfactory School First rating for the most recent past audited year. First refers to the Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas. First assesses the quality of financial management based on data provided by the district's annual financial report and the Public Education Information Management System. For eligibility purposes, the most recent published data from TEA will be used. However, TPFA staff will make an independent assessment of financial condition as part of the award recommendation process. Recently, the consortium agreed that certain eligibility requirements may be waived in special situation. If a potential applicant does not meet minimum eligibility requirements as stated, but feels the unique circumstances warrant special consideration, please feel free to contact our staff for a more in-depth discussion regarding the situation. Now, if you're eligible and you're ready to start an application, let's keep going. First, we're going to open up a web browser and navigate to the application. There are a couple of ways to get there. The TPFA website is at tpfa.texas.gov. A link to the Charter School Finance Corporation website can be found on the TPFA main page. Clicking on that link will take you to the CSFC page, and from there, you can select a link to the TCEP grant program. Of course, you can also navigate directly by typing the complete web address as follows. The instructions and application are contained in a single document that is available in both Microsoft Word format as well as PDF. For your convenience, you'll want to use the Word version since it has fields in which you will be able to insert text or data. The PDF version is there if you just want a sample document that can be quickly scrolled through or shared. Everything we have covered so far and more can be found in the application instructions, which are part of the application document. It's important to read through the entire preface and instruction sections included with the application. One detail I haven't covered yet is the timeline. In prior years, CSFC would announce a formal window of time during which applications would be accepted for consideration. Then, all application received during that window would be considered in a single meeting of the CSFC board. This process has recently changed. Application acceptance is now ongoing, with no stated deadlines for submission. However, TPFA staff cannot guarantee consideration of an application that is submitted less than 60 days from a scheduled CSFC board meeting. Scheduled meetings will appear on the CSFC website with an indication as to whether TCEP applications will be considered at that scheduled meeting. If there is not sufficient time for staff to complete the application review prior to a scheduled meeting, the application will be considered at the next available meeting. If no meetings are scheduled, feel free to call us. We'll let you know if there are any tentative schedules or other scheduling issues that you should be considering. The application is structured in many instances to solicit a yes or no response. Other questions require you to enter data or more information. We've inserted additional text fields with many of the questions so that you can further comment on or explain a response. Data necessary to complete the application come from an array of sources such as board policies, TEA academic and financial performance reports, student enrollment records, budgets, financial reports, and bond documents. The application itself is broken down into the following sections. Introductory information, which includes eligibility requirements, allowable uses, submission instructions, etc. Mission and geographical area served. Governance. Local characteristics. Student demand. Financial strength. Bond projects. Section G of the application, required documents. There are 39 different documents that are potentially required for inclusion. However, some may or may not be applicable depending upon the project. When assembling these, please keep them in the order listed. If a particular document is not applicable or is otherwise unavailable, please insert a page response identifying the document number, the document title, and the reason why the document was omitted. Finally, Section H is a certification by your governing board's chairperson authorizing the submission and attesting to the accuracy and validity of all materials submitted. Now, I do want to make one more comment on this information before we move on. There's a lot of data that you'll be submitting. Overwhelmingly, it's all publicly available already, but there may be certain proprietary items that are not. As a state agency, all documents in our possession or created as a function of our activities are subject to the Texas Public Information Act. As such, any information, documentation, or other material submitted in connection with the TSEP application may be subject to disclosure if a public information request were ever made. If you believe any documents or information submitted should be protected, please make sure that it is clearly identified as proprietary and confidential on the page in which the information appears. You will need to prominently mark in bold red letters the word confidential on that specific part or page of the application or document. The law ultimately governs what can be omitted or redacted from a public information request. However, we will make all reasonable efforts to protect any information identified as confidential. If you would like more detail regarding what qualifies as public information, the Act itself can be found in the Texas Government Code, Chapter 552. The Attorney General also publishes a convenient handbook, which can be found at their website or by calling the Open Government Hotline at the numbers that appear on your screen. Once the application is complete and all documentation has been collected, it's time to submit the application. We ask that you submit only one original copy of the signed and completed application. This should include the application itself, contact information, charter holder and school information, sections A through H, and any supplemental sheets as needed. Also, please submit a flash drive containing an electronic version of the application. Because the information on the flash drive will be migrated to a TPFA SharePoint site, please restrict file names to no more than 35 alphanumeric characters and exclude any special characters. We ask that you send your physical application by UPS or FedEx only. I say this only because mail sent via the post office requires a final internal routing leg, which could potentially delay delivery of your application. UPS and FedEx deliveries are made directly to our door, which is preferable, especially when the deadline is looming. Once we receive an application, TPFA staff performs a quantitative and qualitative evaluation and will present those results in a standardized package to the Charter School Finance Corporation Board. This is done in an open meeting format. We encourage applicants to attend and be prepared to discuss the merits of their application, although attendance is not required for an award. Awards are based on a combination of elements from the submitted application and supporting documents. Considerations include the charter school's mission and geographic area served, demographics and student population profile, performance and status of other area schools, both traditional ISDs and charters, circumstances surrounding area school closures, if any, charter districts and campus structures and school governance, academic performance and trends, financial management, student demand, including enrollment trends and wait lists, the bonds which would be applicable to the TSEP award, including structure of the issue and use of proceeds, district financial conditions, including debt loads, debt service coverage ratios, liquidity, and free cash flow. And finally, specific input, if any, from the consortium partners. If you would like any information on the status of the reserve account, including amounts available for new TSEP awards, you can also find that on the CSFC website. As I said earlier, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us directly. You can call me or any of the other contacts listed on the screen for more information. Thanks for joining me on this webinar. We look forward to working with you on your next facilities financing project.